Hello students, in this lesson we are going to learn how to play on the queen side when the center is blocked and the pawn chain is pointing toward the queen side. In the previous lesson we learned how to play on the king side when the center is closed and the pawn chain is pointing toward the king side. In this lesson we are going to learn about the queen side attack. Let's start. In this position we are white. And as you can see, the center is blocked and our pawn chain is pointing toward the queen side. It means we are supposed to play on the queen side because we will have more space on the queen side. With more space, it will be easier to shuffle our pieces. And when we are conducting a queen side attack, it is important to attack on the base of the pawn chain. Now, where is the base of the pawn chain? If you look at this pawn chain, then this c6 pawn is the base of the pawn chain. This is the last pawn. So our plan is to put pressure on this c6 pawn. We start with pawn to b5. We want to put pressure on this base of the pawn chain. Black plays queen e6. Now look, even if we capture it, opponent will capture with the pawn. So what about if we break the b7 first? So we play pawn to a5. Our idea is that we are going to play pawn to a6. When black plays b cross a6, we will play b cross a6. And this is how we destroy the base of the pawn chain. Black plays g5. If you look at the direction of the pawn chain from the black side, it is pointing toward the king side. So it makes sense for black to play in that area. And we continue with our a6. We are threatening this pawn. So black plays b cross a6. And now here it is important not to take the a6 pawn, but to take the c6 pawn. And the reason is, first, we have a protected passed pawn on the c file. Second, these pawns are weak. We are going to win these pawns anyway. Third, now there is no pawn on c6, so the d5 is also a weakness. We start with rook a b1. Take control of the open file. We are going to win these weak pawns anyway. Black plays g4, attacking on the king side, h cross g4, h cross g4. First we play g3. We stop opponent's attack and we are fixing g4 as a weakness. Our bishop is attacking it. Black plays queen f5. His idea is to go here, bring the rook on the h file and try to checkmate us. So we need to stop it. We play king g2, knight f8. Our idea is to go rook to h1 at the right time. If required, we can play rook h1 and stop opponent's attack from the h file. But first we play queen b7. We are threatening this pawn and black does not have a good way to defend it. That's why I said these two pawns were weak and we can get them anytime we want. Opponent plays rook e6. And instead of capturing this pawn, we first play queen b8. Why? Because this pawn is not really important. What important is that we bring the queen to f4 and try to exchange the queens so that our king is safe. Opponent is planning an attack on the king side. First he plays bishop h6 to cover this square and stop our idea. We play rook to h1, taking control of the h file. Bishop g5, we play rook h2. We want to double on the h file. After king g7, we play rook bh1. Now the queen is attacking from this side and our rook is attacking from this h file. Opponent plays rook e8 and now we can take on a7. Now the material is equal, but because of strong position of white's pieces, white is winning in this position. First, this pawn is weak. Second, we have a protected passed pawn on c file. Third, this weakness, there is also a weakness on d5 and we have control over the h file. We have all the active pieces, all of our pawns are strong, black has weak pawns, so white is winning in this position. This is how you conduct a successful queenside attack. Let's look at one more example. In this position, we are white and let's look at the pawn chain. This is the pawn chain. Our pawn chain is pointing toward the queen side, so we play on the queen side. Opponent's pawn chain is pointing toward the king side, so he will play on the king side. Our goal is to attack on the base of the pawn chain, which is d6. So how do we attack it? We immediately play pawn to c5. We want to put more pressure on it. We are going to play knight to c4 and put more pressure on d6. Black plays g4. Black is playing on his flank. F cross g4. We play f cross g4 and black plays knight cross g4. Bishop cross g4, f cross g4, and we go short castle. Black played knight g6. He wants to bring his knight to f4. And we continue with our plan. Knight c4, putting pressure on the d6 pawn. Our goal, we want to play knight to b5 and add more pressure on d6. So black plays a6. We play bishop e3. We want to cover the f4 square. Knight f4, we play g3, we attack the knight, knight h3, king g2, bishop f6. Black's f6 bishop was blocked by its own pawn. Black's bishop was a bad bishop, so he wants to play bishop g5 and exchange it. We play c cross g6, c cross g6, and we go knight b6. We have such a good square on b6, our knight is super active there. We are attacking opponent's rook. And here black played bishop to g5. Black is offering this rook, and in exchange black wants our bishop. If we take the rook, then black will play bishop cross e3, and bishop on d4 will become a powerful bishop. This is not what we want. We don't want to give any chance to black's pieces. So here, instead of taking this rook, we first exchange this rook and then just simply bring the queen to e2. Queen is covering all these squares, so black cannot come to these squares. Bishop cross e3, queen cross e3, and now finally black has to save the rook. Rook b8. We play rook f1. Now look, our rook is more active than opponent's rook. Our queen is more active than opponent's queen. Our knight is active than opponent's bishop. Only black's one knight is active. So most of our pieces are active, so that's why white has advantage in this position. Black plays queen e7 and we go queen h6. Now it is time for us to attack the opponent's king. Black plays knight g5. Black wants to bring his piece back into the defense. We first play knight cross c8, removing the defender of g4. Rook cross c8 and then go queen to h5. In the next move, we are going to capture the g4 pawn. We will be a pawn up, so white is winning here. So when the center is closed, remember, look at the pawn chain. If the pawn chain is pointing toward the queen side, we play on the queen side. Our goal is to attack on the base of the pawn chain. By following this strategy, you will be able to put pressure on your opponent. That's it for this lesson. See you in the next one.